So I have a question. If you were dating a guy and he told you, I want you to stop doing porn, would you be submissive and listen to him?
If I loved someone, absolutely.
What if you didn't love him?
Then I would not stop. I wouldn't
You're
be
in a
with
relationship with him.
I wouldn't be in a
Well, what if
relationship.
you don't love him yet?
That's possible.
That's pointless to me because I'm like, if we're not, I don't know, if I don't love you yet, I'm not going to quit my job for you.
Yeah, but somebody can grow to love somebody. That's very possible.
Right.
How
But
about if
I'm
he
not
doesn't
going
know if
to
he
cut
loves
off
you
my
yet?
financials because you told me.
He's providing.
Right. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would want to be in love with someone for them to, like, cut off, like,
Or at least
what I do.
attraction.
So in order for her to stop doing pornography, she wants a man who's a provider, who's providing upfront, whether she loves you yet or not. She wants you to be dominant, and she wants you to love her, and then she also wants to be able to love you. For her just to stop doing her sex work, for her to consider you for a relationship, or for her to consider stopping her work for you. So you got to do all these things for me to stop doing my sex work. What a deal. That should be the best deal in the world.
Maybe not love, but like attraction to them. Would you like give it up for them? Like
She ain't
that's-
giving up.
Like
And
let's
the
say you're
potential.
like 2 months
If she's
into
attracted
the
to a dude.
relationship,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just attracted, like, I don't really care.
but
Like,
it's like, how long does it take for you to fall in love with someone?
I don't know. I haven't been in love.
Okay.
No. A week for me.
So
Wait.
the last question I got for you. Why would a traditional man who had those traditional traits and values want somebody who
See,
was
now
doing
I'm
porn?
understanding.
Good question. Why would a man with all these dominant traits, a traditional man who's the leader, provider, all this, choose a sex worker? Good question. I can't wait to hear the answer.
Like, anyway, I'm not saying they would. I'm just saying what I like.
Yeah,
so
but-
it's like, for me, I'm not stupid. Like, I understand what I do as a job. I understand the way the world would view that in a negative light or whatever. And that, at the end of the day, that was my decision. So maybe it's harder for me to find a man that I want.
So let's circle.
You know what I mean?
We're going to circle all the way back now to the original question I asked you. Do you think that there's going to be any long-term ramifications from you doing porn? The response to this was everything except this answer, which is that it could definitely have significant problems when it came to the relationship that you would want with a man who had the traits, characteristics, and values that you're after. How come you left that out?
I wasn't thinking about that because most of the time when people bring it
You
up,
weren't
they always
thinking about it.
Well, they always bring up, oh, what about your family? What about your children? They're not thinking about like, oh,
Well,
what
I
about your
assume-
future
I
relationships?
assume you're going to have children with somebody you're in love with.
Yeah, of
Then
course.
you want that person to have those values, right?
Of course.
That comes before the kid, right?
Of course.
So if that
I
comes,
just-
so
I
that
didn't
comes
think about
before
that
the kid. There's a step-by-step process here.
Right.
The type of man that you're after for the values, aren't you hamstringing yourself?
I mean, no, because I mean, at the end of the day, if a dude doesn't want me back, I'm not gonna chase it. Like, I'm not gonna look stupid
Yeah,
like
but why
that.
would a man who had values, structured values, and was traditional, which is what you want,
Mm-hmm.
why would he want to be with a porn star?
Right. I'm not saying a traditional man has to be.
So how's that not hamstringing yourself?
Well, because it's like I grew up in a household that was a Christian household.
Sure.
And so maybe it's just the way I grew up that it's kind of ingrained in me to like certain traits in a relationship.
Yeah, you can like all you like, but like I said, humans are based on transactions. I give you something, you give me something. So it doesn't matter how much you want a traditional man, you want him to have all these traits, but you gotta ask yourself, is the sex work that I'm doing going to affect how that man views me? Is that kind of man going to select me with everything I do for work? Those are the questions you gotta ask yourself, young lady. Right? It's okay to want what you want. You can want the traditional man all you want, but you gotta ask yourself, what does the traditional man want in his woman? Would he select a woman who does sex work or a woman who doesn't do sex work? You know what I mean? So I think there's a question she hasn't asked herself.
I'm not saying that's an indefinite to what I'd be looking for. Like, let's say I find someone and they're not even like that at all. but I love them and it works for us, that's fine too.
Really? You think that you're going to be able to change things like you want them to be dominant, a provider, have traditional values? You really think you're going to change what you're attracted to? Really?
I mean, if you love somebody, yeah.
Andrew, can I ask you a
absolutely.
question on this? Can a guy be dominant and a provider, but not be traditional?
Yes.
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 So that's what I mean. That's where I kind of think about this. Part of me, when these,
But
The answer is yes. The guy can be dominant and a provider and not be fully traditional, I think is the answer. Because being dominant and provider is an aspect of traditionalism. So he might have a few traits that are traditional, but he may also be more open to certain things. You know what I mean? He may be traditional, but he may be the kind of man that doesn't care how his woman dresses. He may be the kind of woman that doesn't care if his woman puts up sexy photos on Instagram. So, you know, he might be somewhere in the balance. He may have traditional values and he may also have values that don't really, you know, go way too far into traditionalism. So, yes.
But there's an undercurrent here to look at. Yes. So in other words, I'm going to concede that this is logically possible.
right.
I don't ever see it though. Meaning that the types of men I think who desire to be in those roles generally seem to have a value structure which underpins why they want to be in those roles. Otherwise, what the hell would be the point? You just go out and be a promiscuous man whore and hump every chick you saw and lie to them, be a scumbag. There wouldn't really be any negative ramifications to that. So why not do that?
On the provider front, I do wonder though, like if there's like liberal cuck soy boy who's like just, you know, he's making, nothing precludes a liberal cuck soy boy from making a ton of money.
No.
So they can fall into the provider role. It's not clear if the dominant component is a little more
Yeah,
questionable.
but generally, but let me ask the counter to this.
yeah.
So the liberal cuck soy boy,
Yeah.
why does he want to fall in the provider role?
That's a good question.
Because traditionally that's what it's been. But also I think naturally as men, we like to provide for our women or for our families or for our kids, just like the lions do for their, you know, for their cubs, right? And they like to provide it. I think it's the natural inclination to do that. So, or maybe socially, traditionally, that has also been pushed. So I could see how someone who's liberal as a man can also want to be a provider. But that's it, guys. It's 45 minutes. I'm not going to react to the whole thing. I'll link down below the whole thing. Shout out to Andrew, shout out to Brian, link down below to the Whatever podcast. What do you guys think? Road to 5,000. Subscribe, comment down below, support your boy. Till next time, peace.